Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Streaming December 12th on Peacock. Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie are back
That's hot. Loves it.
for a show-stopping reunion that will prove putting on an opera is anything but simple.
We're really good at this.
One thing's for sure, they won't be upstaged.
Good to have you back. Come on, we've got a show to do.
Paris and Nicole, The Encore, a 3-part reunion special, streaming December 12th, only on Peacock.
Let's hang out. Let's hang out. And let's talk about what lesbians about. Let's hang out. And let's listen to two lesbians shout. Let's hang out. Let's hang out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Hang Out, the podcast where we're hooking up with April Stevens, and she's a girl. How's that for boring?
Yes.
From the West Coast, I'm Lee Holmes Foster.
And from the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida. To those of you who have been with us through this whole journey, thank you as always for listening. If you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. And here's what's happening this week.
This week in the Lesdom.
This Week in the Lesdom is a place where we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. And we want to let you know that we are hosting a Zoom karaoke to benefit The Flame the Musical on November 20th. We're going to have at least myself, Lee, and Valerie there. And we're hoping, fingers crossed, some of the cast. We will keep you updated.
And again, if you want to help support The Flame in general, our crowdfunding campaign is still running until November 27th. Any amount makes a huge difference. If you can't contribute, share, tell your friends, tell your family, email, your rich uncle or someone, and let them know that they could head to bit.ly/theflamethemusical to help us make this a reality.
Let's do it. In the greater Les universe, we wanted to talk about Reverie streaming. They just launched the first 24/7 live TV channel for queer women and non-binary folks, hosted by one more lesbian. That makes us very happy, especially in the wake of some other streaming services who don't love lesbians and queer people.
And speaking of Netflix, let's talk about some more lesbians that they're gonna have on. But at least this is for like a movie, so maybe they won't get canceled. I'm sure we all recently saw that the first trailers have come out for Prom, the musical. You know we love a gay musical. You know we love Ariana DeBose. Look, it's got a killer cast. Like, who can say no to Meryl Streep and Nicole Kidman? You just can't. And speaking of Nicole Kidman, we hear she's getting up to some possibly gay hijinks.
In The Undoing. Yeah, I will say I have not seen it yet, but my girlfriend started watching The Undoing, and she watched the first episode, and she said, I have to stop watching this because you need to watch it with me. So it's clearly that gay. So I'm so excited.
So it's getting real gay.
So I'm very excited about The Undoing. I'll keep you updated on my progress on The Undoing. But with that, that's what's happening this week. Back to you, Ellie and Lee.
Thanks, Ellie and Lee. We are so excited to bring you episode 6 of season 4, April Sours, and we have a very special treat for you today. You may recognize our guest today from Teenage Bounty Hunters,
where she plays one half of Step Bro. They're our favorite teenage lovers.
Yes, she's Willingham's perfectionist whose daddy went to jail.
Won't you welcome our next guest? It's the amazing Devon Hales.
Yes!
Welcome!
Oh my god, that was so worth the wait. That was amazing.
You are welcome. Devon emailed us earlier today saying that we could write her intro, and I don't think she was really ready for exactly what that would be. So there you are.
Oh, it's better than anything I could have ever written. So thank you so much.
We'll email you that if you want to use it again.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We'll make it into a little ringtone for you. You can just use it as you go around.
Ellie will produce it. It's going to be beautiful.
Oh, gosh.
Can you imagine if you were out somewhere and that just started, like your phone started ringing and it was that?
Bump in.
Yes.
I'm into it. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. So we wanted to have you on the show because we love Teenage Bounty Hunters. For any of our listeners who may not have seen the show, can you just give a quick rundown? What is Teenage Bounty Hunters and why should they all watch it?
Okay, Teenage Bounty Hunters. The plot. Fraternal twins, Sterling and...
April. No, I'm just kidding.
Sterling and
Blair.
April. Sterling and Blair.
You are in the show, right?
I'm out of practice. Sterling and Blair Wesley. They live in what is based on Buckhead, Georgia, fancy town. They attend... I'm doing a really great job. I'm doing a really great job.
Really, crushing it.
You
crushing
really
it.
are.
Killing it.
I can't wait to watch the show.
Yeah, I'm selling it. Oh my God.
There's twins. One of them has a name. Into it.
And the other one, who knows who she is.
It's actually very on brand, like, as April.
to not really care.
Sterling and the brunette one. I don't know.
You're just doing it in character. That's
yes.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
They attend this private Christian high school, and through a series of unfortunate or fortunate, however you choose to see it, events, they team up with this veteran bounty hunter named Bowser. And so by day, they go to school and they deal with all the things that high schoolers deal with: love, loss, hijinks, parents who don't understand, Jesus, who also does not understand sometimes. Yes. And then after their extracurricular activity is a skip of the week format. So each episode, there's a different skip that they go after. And usually they learn something about themselves in the process, you know? So
yes.
Don't we all while hunting down skips?
Correct.
So let's talk a little bit about your character. So where does April fit in this whole scenario?
April Stevens.
Wow, the tone change on that, huh?
Now I'm going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Is the resident mean girl. Misunderstood mean girl. You know, she's got a story of her own. You just have to be willing to listen. And she kind of tortures Sterling. They are both up for fellowship leader, which is a very important position at this private Christian high school. And her dad is not a friend of the family, not a friend of the podcast.
Yes.
He doesn't listen to Girl in Red, listeners, is what we're saying.
He does not. I know what that means now.
Wait, so now I want to know, how do you know what that means? Who told you?
Oh, God. Okay. I thought it was infamous. I thought everyone would just know. The very first time Maddie and I ever did a live on Instagram, we were so nervous, and I was wearing a red shirt. And people in the comments kept asking if I listened to Girl in Red, and I was like, ha ha ha, Girl in Red, here I am. And then Maddie was like, hey Devon, and told me, and she was like, it's because I've been watching a bunch of lesbian TikTok, and as we discussed before the show started, I don't have TikTok, so I didn't know. And yeah, it was amazing. And then, of course, we didn't really know how the fandom was going to work, but they're fast. And so as soon as the live was over, they had that clipped down. It was all over Twitter. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? What have I done?
Wow.
So
that's a beautiful,
I think it's a good story.
That is amazing. I'm surprised. So is that why you didn't wear red for this interview? You were like, I'm going to not make the same mistake.
Just play it safe. Yeah, so anyway, April Stevens, she has a really messed up home life, and she's got some secrets, you know? And
one or two.
Yeah, and so over the course of Teenage Bounty Hunters, we learn more about her backstory with Sterling and why they have the relationship that they do, which is often quite tumultuous. And it gets better from there, you know?
Gets better, yes. That's
gets
a
better
good word.
and then
gets really bad, really sad. We'll get to that. Don't worry. But I am curious, just because of the story that you were just telling too. I'm really curious because I feel like a lot of actors who like take on like actors who get into like the queer ships, like you get cast in a part, right, where you become like, I am half of this thing that is now like a thing. Was this like your first interaction with like the queer fandom world?
It was.
And what was that like?
It's been amazing. But at first, it was very overwhelming. Not in a bad way. Everyone was so lovely, so effusive, so happy to be cheering for us. But I was like, oh my God, this is a lot. This is a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to disappoint anybody, you know, and
we love fast and we love hard, you know. It's
true.
How we roll.
It is so true.
Yeah, so it's obviously been so fun. It's so heavily gift and, you know, compilation videoed and fan cammed. Like, it's obviously, as a fan of television and being on social media, like, I have seen the ways that fans have reacted to other shows where there's a couple that's really popular, like gay or otherwise. And it's crazy to now be a part of it. And it feels like I'm just so lucky to like be here and be a part of something that makes people feel good and feel seen. And, you know, especially right now when we're all like, a GIF is like the only thing I have to live for, like a funny GIF. You know?
Yes.
So
True.
It is, but you know, I mean, I think the thing you have to remember is like we do fall fast and hard, but like we are a loyal bunch, so you now have like a fandom for life. We follow everywhere as queers. We never go away.
That is true.
So many people have said that, and it's like, and Maddie and I have talked about it. We're like, this, especially, you know, now that we know what we know about the show, like, it's sad, but we know that we have this really loving group of people who are gonna hang with us, hopefully, when we hopefully book other jobs. Fingers crossed.
We do. Don't worry.
Yes.
It's honestly, it's like, I feel like all actors should just try to get cast gay like once. Because you just build a following for life. Like, it just feels so easy.
Look at what it did for Allison Hannigan. That's all I'm going to say.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, it was really smart of me to get involved with this Netflix project and this character.
Great choice.
Yeah, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about that. How did you end up in this role?
Okay, well, this is a tiny bit of a saga. I'll try to, like, compress it.
We're here for the saga.
Okay, so from January to June of 2019, I told you, a saga, I'm backing up, I was living in New York. I was living in a sublet in Bed-Stuy. Rock on.
Nice.
I was considering a move to New York permanently in 2020. LOL. For theater. I have a theater degree. I did primarily theater out of college in Atlanta. I had a TV and film agent, and I was auditioning now and then, but I was booking theater so consistently that I was like, I can't turn these jobs down, even though I am interested in on-camera work, but like I was booking those like once a year. And I really wanted to move to a bigger market and see what that was like. So I went to do a test run. And obviously 6 months in New York is like a drop in the bucket, but I just wanted to test it out and see. And that's all the money I had because New York is really expensive.
Yep.
So I had this money saved from when I did one episode of The Resident, a medical drama on Fox. And yeah, so I got this sublet and I was auditioning for theater Monday through Friday, sometimes twice a day. I was like pounding the pavement. And I still had my agent in Atlanta and they were sending me tapes in case I booked something. I could like fly home and be in Atlanta. And so I got this audition for Sterling Wesley. in Teenage Bounty Hunters.
Uh-huh.
I think at the end of April, beginning of May, maybe. And I saw the sides. I was like, this writing is fucking amazing. And this is such an interesting character and storyline. And sent the tapes in, and I was like, I'm not quite right for this, but that was a good audition. Solid work. And didn't hear anything, obviously. And like a month and a half later, I got an audition for April. And I was like, thank God that I'm getting a second chance at the show because it's really cool. And I read the sides and I was like, okay, in my mind, there's only one thing that this is. And I have like 2 hours to put this on tape. I was in between things. I like had to just like put it on tape and send it in. So I just did it and I sent it off. And I was like, man, I really want that job. I really want that job because that character is crazy. She's crazy. But it's really funny. But the audition, because in my mind it was like a very specific thing, I really sort of went for it. And I was like, that's either going to pay off or this casting director is going to be like, never again.
So when you say really specific thing, like you played April like you play April on the show, on the tape, and you were like, either they're going to hate it or love it.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. So the craziness that you see is what I did in the audition. And
but they and we loved it, clearly.
Liked it. So I am supposed to, it's now the end of June. My sublet is up. I'm supposed to go back to Atlanta. I'm driving home because I have all of my shit. I'm driving home in the course of 2 days. And that was a Tuesday and a Wednesday. On Monday, I was in a show and I got out of the show and I turned my phone on and I opened my email and it said that I was pinned for April. And I was like, oh my God. And then I realized, I was like, I don't know what pinned means. I think that is a good thing, but I don't know for sure. So I had to call the friend who helped me tape the Sterling one, who like knew way more. And I was like, hey, can you explain to me what this means? And for those of you who don't know, who would like to know, usually it means you are casting's first choice, but you have to be, your headshot basically has to be like pinned up on the wall with everybody else's headshots who they've already cast. And like, you have to be run past producers and like, they have to make sure everything is kosher. The shoot date started, I think, on Wednesday. And so I'm like trying to get in touch with my agents. I'm like, do I need to fly home? Because like, I'm supposed to drive for the next 2 days. And like, if I need to be there in case I book this, like, and they, of course, not worried, unbothered. They were like, no, it's fine. So I leave Tuesday, drive all day, don't hear anything. Almost all day Wednesday, we stop in South Carolina to get gas, and I open my email, and it said that I booked it. I was like, holy shit. And it only was, it was a great thing, a 4-episode guarantee. No description of April beyond the mean girl, head bitch in charge, hates Sterling. That was it.
They're really like sliding that one in there, huh?
And, yeah, so I was really excited. This was the biggest job I'd ever booked. I knew who the producers were on it. I was like, Genji Koyan, oh my God, this is crazy. And the writing, I knew that I loved. But yeah, I was like, even if I'm only on it for 4 episodes, like, great, let's do it. And so I got home late on Wednesday, went to a table read for the pilot on Friday, not knowing a soul. I was like, I didn't get any notes. I guess I'm just going to do what I did in my audition tape. I have no idea. I like had to really be a grown up and be like, I'm just going to make a choice in front of all of these producers and all of these Netflix executives. I don't know. I hope I don't get fired. And then it ended up actually being, I think, maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks before I started shooting. But yes, that is the saga of how April Stevens entered my life.
Amazing.
You had no idea when you started, like where the story was going to go, what you were signing on to.
I had no idea. And people have been asking about like when I knew, and I haven't actually said. So,
oh yeah, we want the exclusive, please.
Is this it? Is this the moment?
So I And I'm really about to throw somebody under the bus. So I haven't actually, nobody knows this story.
We can bleep out names. It's fine. We'll be like,
part of this story only Charity knows. Charity, who plays Hannah B. We did the first 3 episodes. And, actually, I'll say this. I'm really rambling. Oh my God. This is going to be a 3-hour podcast.
That's okay. People will listen.
Yeah. True story. I swear on whatever you'd like me to swear on. This is a true story. So, day 1, we're sitting in the van. It's me and Charity and Eric, who plays Ezekiel. Mm-hmm. Very first moments on set, we're sitting in this van because we were going to shoot the parking lot scene with the confrontation and the green tank top, if you'll remember. And Charity and I were just kind of casually discussing. We were like, oh my God, would it be so cool, like, if we last long enough that we, like, get paired up with, like, a love interest? Like, how cool would that be? And Eric, like, pops up and we're, like, kind of chatting about it. And we really think this is, like, far-fetched. Like, we have no idea how long we're going to last on the show. We don't know what our arc is. Like, we could be gone in 3 seconds. And Charity and I had both never played, like, a love interest really on a show. So it was exciting to just think about. And we were talking about it, and I was like, I kind of wonder if April is gay.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't really have any evidence other than she is obsessed with this girl. Mm-hmm. And, like, why?
Yes.
She is...
Gaydar, spot on, yes.
Thank you. I was like, okay, she is really obsessed with getting this position of power, this fellowship thing, and, like, is it because she thinks it's going to protect her from something? Will it, like, protect her from suspicion? And I was like, and the bitch says straight alliance. Like, no one straight says that. Like,
yes. Straight alliance.
And
like, she's really trying to be like, I only hang out with straight people, I swear.
The lady doth protest too much.
Yes.
No thanks. Yeah, I was
Okay,
like, that
although
would be...
for someone who's like, I only hang out with straight people, like, I mean, Ezekiel's right there.
Hello, she knows that he's gay. She knows.
He's right there. Does nobody else see? Do they not see it? You have to see it. Because honestly, I mean, we haven't like dug into to all of the things that we're gonna get to yet. But like, it's one of the things that I love about the show. Because like Ellie and I have already done an episode on the podcast about what we call gay magnetism, which is like, so many queer people had the experience of like you had your really close friends in like middle school or like, you know, kind of before you came out. And then like as you all get older, like slowly one by one,
you're like,
every
surprise.
single one of you
Yeah.
is like, oh, hey, me too, actually. Right. And
like,
so
oh,
it's
we
like
were
even
all
before,
gay.
yeah, like before you all know, you all gravitate together. And I'm like, oh, look, even whether it was consciously or not, I'm like, oh, they gave us gay magnetism with April and Ezekiel. They're right there.
They did. Like, I don't know. I'll never know. But, like, I kind of like to think about the fact that, like, they just knew. They just had a shared understanding.
Yeah.
Like, Ezekiel
Which means
very...
I have my theory about Hannah B, but it's fine.
A lot of people have theories about Hannah B, you know? They're really trying to push it. It's amazing.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so that was day 1. And I was like, that's so crazy. And Charity was like, you should say something, you should ask. I was like, no, I can't. It is day 1. I am trying to keep my job. I'm just trying to be like quiet and still. I barely know how to like do this job. I'm freaking out. Yeah, so we did 3 episodes and then we were all off. They didn't have any school in episode 4, so a lot of us were off. So I walk in for a costume fitting for episode 5. This is before 5 has started, because they told me there was like a funeral scene and I had not seen the script. I was like, okay, sure. And they had to do an extra fitting for that.
For the ridiculous, like, black
Veil,
ensemble.
hat, coat.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So good.
I think what a lot of people maybe don't know is a lot of actors, especially those of us who are just guest stars, even if we're recurring guest stars, don't really get the scripts until like kind of the last gunfire. And so I didn't even know what was going to happen in episode 5. And I walk in for this fitting and the assistant to the costume designer, I don't remember if she said, it's crazy about you and Sterling, or like you and Sterling, like, oh my God, it's so crazy. And I was like, sorry, what? And she didn't know that I didn't know. And I was like, Erin, what? Like, what is happening? And she freaked out. She was like, okay, don't tell anyone that I told you, like, please. And yeah, was losing her mind. And so then I had to go have this fitting and I was trying to text Charity and be like, something's happening and I don't know what it is. And so then there are like whispers going around and we're shooting episode 5. And gratefully, Kathleen looked at me at one point during episode 5 and was like, hello, would you like to have lunch with us and talk about your character? I was like, yeah, please, because I'm freaking out in a good way. But I was like, I just don't know is this true? Like, what is happening? Because we didn't really talk about April ever. I was just there and working my job. So she and the showrunner at the time had lunch with me and didn't really tell me what the storyline was going to be, but basically said, she is a lesbian, she's cool with it, God's cool with it, but she is someone who one day wants to be like the first gay senator of wherever, and she knows she can't do that if she comes out now because people will not understand. Her family won't be cool with it, the community won't be cool with it. The most important thing is she's cool with it. And then I left. And then I just got the scripts a couple days before we started the episode. And I was like, well, this is fucking fabulous. So let's do it.
That is amazing. I also like, it's just funny hearing that story, like, because obviously like you're playing characters, right? But there's like also this like feeling of like, oh, like it's happening. Like everyone around you's like whispering about like this, like these two people. Oh, these two people are getting together.
It's like,
and,
really being back in high school.
Yeah. Like they're gossiping about,
it mirrors the story for sure.
That's so interesting. It's so cool.
Can we just jump on that for a second? Because it is one of the things that we loved. Because, I mean, let's be clear. This is how Ellie and I tend to watch a lot of TV these days is, you know, you start getting the whispers. People are like,
we're like,
someone who has time to binge things is always the first person where you start getting the like in the rumor mill and they're like, there's a gay couple. Did you hear there's a gay couple in this show? Have you watched this show yet? I hear there's a gay couple. And then it's like, if you wait a little bit, you'll get the like, it starts to solidify where it's like, yes, there's a for sure like canon ship and it's happening and everyone should like, okay, does everyone know about it? And then for me, because I'm always late on everything because my life is like delayed at every turn these days. And so then you start getting the like, then the gifts start coming out and then the clips start coming out, right? So it's like you watch all of these things. And so for me, especially, like I always kind of have the gist. I'm like, I don't try to avoid spoilers and I kind of always know like, here's the sort of gist of what's going to happen in the show that I am finally getting around to watching. But I didn't know there were a lot of things that like hadn't really made it into like the here are the big points that everyone is hitting. And one of them was specifically that it was the foundation of a lot of the show being their Christianity and their faith and like that whole part of the school and their lives. But also the fact that April as a character, like especially my expectation when you go into like, you know, teenage, high school, those kind of storylines with couples, I'm always expecting like it's a coming out tale. And they usually are, and that's fine. And you know, like those have their place for sure. But there's a couple things that are so different about Sterling and April as a couple from the perspective of like what we're used to seeing represented. And those were like two huge things that I know you just said, but well, like we need to like talk about them a little because they're really big. Like you do not see a lot of Christian lesbians on our TV screens, and you do not see a lot of like high school Christian lesbians who are like, I'm totally gay and I totally know that about myself and I'm super okay with that, but like this is where I'm at and this is what my situation is. And like that is not a storyline that I can remember ever seeing before, you know? Like what was it like to get handed that? And like there's nothing to look to, there's nothing to like, you know, how do you step into that type of place for your character to be?
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just like remembering what it was like. But I was like, I can't believe that somebody trusts me to tell this story. I couldn't I was like, this is so many things up to that point about the show had been so special. And the fact that then we got this plot point and we still had 3 or 4 more episodes to go.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I obviously am speaking, I can only speak through my own lens and from my own privilege. So however many grains of salt you need for this, like, go ahead. But, you know, this is the way that I sort of related to it. Like, from 3rd to 8th grade, I went to a private Christian school. And my mom sent me there for the education. But when you are getting a Christian education like that, in those formative years, that is so impactful. And thankfully, on the other side of that, I lived in a pretty liberal household, but it took a lot of years to unlearn or find my way around the things that were told to me 5 days a week for all of those years. Mm-hmm. And that's just me. That's living my own story, you know? And so, and seeing all this representation on TV that people who are in the LGBTQ community, like, did not have. That it did not exist when I was growing up. And I'm obviously when you guys were growing up, like, the fact that young people get to grow up with this story as part of the way that they learn to be in the world is mind-blowing and makes me so emotional. And it's not even my story to tell. I just, like, happen to be here telling it, you know? And this is something that people, like, a lot smarter than me have already posited and spoken about really eloquently. But I think when the entertainment industry, you know, started telling stories about marginalized or severely underrepresented communities, we started with these stories about the pain and the suffering and the misunderstanding and the lack of acceptance, which are important stories to tell because it provides education and that can lead to empathy. And, like, those two things combined can change the world, I believe. But that's not the whole story and is not doing a service to these communities as a whole. And I think we are in a place maybe right now where some people feel like the only way to be an ally is to talk about the pain. And that is really important. But if you're not able to also talk about or celebrate the love and the joy and the times when it's going well and going right, and these people from these communities are thriving, then you're doing a disservice. And, like, is that allyship, like, really more about you? Because, like, all of this pain and suffering that these people go through come at the hands of the group in charge. So, like, come at the hands of straight people who don't understand and who are evil and bigots or whatever. So, like,
we like to call them all evil. Yes.
No.
No, but I get what you're saying. Yes. And I think it's the same way that I think people have talked about, like, Schitt's Creek, you know, and, like, why Schitt's Creek as a type of representation stands out, because it's like they don't ever question it. It's not ever, we need to dig into why it's okay or how people, like, no, it's just like, it's never a question, you know? And that's the other thing that I loved about Teenage Bounty Hunters, honestly, watching it from that perspective, is because I knew, you know, like, I knew because I'm like, oh, I've seen the kissing clip in Ellen's, like, office. Like, I know what's coming and I'll wait for it, damn it. But like, it doesn't telegraph itself, right? The same way that you're saying, like, they gave you the 4 episodes and there's no mention of it. There's nothing, there's no hints, there's no nothing. Like, it's not giving it away that it's coming. And I'm like, I would love to know how many families started watching this show because they're like, oh, good, fun, wholesome Christian entertainment
content. And then they're like, oh,
surprise. And, like, I hope that by that point, maybe they were invested enough in these characters that they otherwise would have turned off or been like, no, child, you can't watch this because there's gays. Like, I hope that maybe they were invested enough in these characters that they could learn something and stay with the story. Like, I think that is always, you know, what, and Kathleen has talked a lot about this, like, yes, we acknowledge like some of the shortcomings of Southern people or Christian people or Republicans, like, but we're not, it might feel good in the moment sometimes to like bash these people, but if we really are trying to move towards empathy, which is really hard, but I think that's where we have to go, like, you don't immediately want these people to turn off something that was supposed to be called Slutty Teenage Bounty Hunters. Like, you want them to turn on Teenage Bounty Hunters so that
wait, is that the original title?
Yes. Which I love, and we were so sad to lose it, but we were like, if this is actually going to make the impact that, I said we, like I had anything to do with it. I think the idea was, if we really want this to have the impact and have the conversations that we hope, you know, families or teenagers or whoever have, they have to turn it on first, you know?
Yeah. Yes. This is sort of going back a little bit. Like, I love when Lee's saying it's not telegraphed, but I just rewatched it after, like, knowing more. And I know, obviously, like, I know more, so I'm going to see more things. But one of the biggest things that I think is like a huge indicator, we talked about gay magnetism, but the other thing is like the young friendship breakup.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God, yes.
Like, that is...
But that's the kind of thing that I feel like queer people see and are, and like that's what we would latch onto if we were doing like a should have been gay or something, like if it hadn't happened, you know, like that's the kind of thing that we'd be like, a breadcrumb for us. Hello, you know. But I'm like, straight people watching that are not going to be like, wait a second, where is this show headed exactly?
Yes, but to me, I was like, oh, that's like, clearly there was some intense feelings between the two of them.
Yeah.
And like, that's why April's so pissed off. Because clearly, like, even when she's talking about like, oh, I crush on girls hard. And like, I always have, there's like this undertone of like, I used to have a crush on you and you threw me away.
Yeah, there have been, I read so many Tumblr theories about it and so many Tumblr discussions. Yeah, people obviously really want it to be that, and I don't know for sure. I think it is part of that. I think my take on it is like, she probably did have a crush on her. I don't think she knew that's what it was, though. I think she might have known about other girls, but she was so close to Sterling that she like couldn't even see it. It wasn't like, I loved you from the first moment. I think she was like, I just had really strong feelings and I didn't know what they were, and I just assumed they were hate because that was so much easier, you know?
Yes.
Hindsight's 2020, April. We've all been there.
Sorry, dude. Yeah. So, yes, baby April and Sterling. When we found out about all of that, we were like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Well,
Precious.
I love that part too, because it is like, it humanizes, like that's the point where you really humanize April, and then you can be like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely on board for this, because clearly there's like some other stuff going on here besides April just like carrying around a condom wrapper trying to, I don't know.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, on that note, let's take a hot second to hear from some sponsors. We'll be right back to talk more about modern day Sterling and April. How's that? This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And as we head into Thanksgiving time, I want to start by thanking my wife, Kelsey, who has not only listened to just about every episode of this podcast for 8 seasons now, but who also is the only reason I'm able to make time to record it every week. She takes the kids, gets them dinner, and gets them ready for bed, just so that Ellie and I can come on and yell about gay things into each other's faces for an hour. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people you're grateful for in your life, including yourself. I've been in therapy for a long time now, and one thing that's so important about therapy is how it teaches you to be more intentional. And being intentional about gratitude and how to show that to the people you appreciate is just one of the many benefits that I've gotten from therapy over the years. If you've been thinking of starting therapy, consider giving BetterHelp a try. I know how hard it can be to find time for regular therapy, and BetterHelp is designed to be flexible and convenient for your schedule. You can fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you want to start being more intentional about gratitude in your life, visit betterhelp.com/letshangout today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/letshangout.
Let's hang out.
For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
This episode is brought to you by Skinny Pop Popcorn. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Oh, so light and crunchy. Skinny Pop Original Popcorn is the snack you've been searching for. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: popcorn kernels, sunflower oil, and salt. Snacking never felt or tasted so good. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Give yourself permission to snack and pick up Skinny Pop Original Popcorn today.
Okay, so let's talk about, because we have the history of Sterling and April, but can we, because I have to ask, what was it like to get the script of how Sterling and April actually starts on the show? Because the other thing is, I mean, we talked about how, like, the show doesn't kind of telegraph the fact that April knows this entire time that she's a lesbian. And the way that it doesn't telegraph Sterling at all, although, again, the whole, like, desperately sleeping with your boyfriend to try to be interested in him seems familiar to queer people, Sterling sort of, just stumbles her way into her feelings as well in a really touching and delicate way. See what I did there? So what was it like to get that script? You're blushing very much right now.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stay blushed. This is just how it is.
The answer is allowed to just be blushing. It's fine. We'll narrate it. There's a lot of
answer is
red happening.
I thought it was so great. yeah, every time I got a script, I was like trying to read it as fast as possible and get to the end. And I was like, oh my God. And, you know, as much as we've talked about not seeing things on TV, you don't see female masturbation.
No.
And that's so dumb. There's a dude jacking off joke every 5 freaking seconds. And these girls, like, grow up thinking it's not normal and, like, that there's something wrong with them. And that is a tragedy. And so again, knowing that there are young people who get to grow up seeing this on TV and it being like
Christians masturbate, y'all, is what we're saying.
the most. They do it the most. Because they don't have
this episode is sponsored by masturbation.
Do we have statistics on that? Like, which faiths masturbate?
Oh, I'm sure someone has, right? Come on.
It was great. It was so crazy, and yeah, good for her. Good for her.
I also love to say, like, the second that deadbolts, I was like, deadbolts are queer culture now. Like,
yes, in the office when they lock it.
Yes, it was just like that moment when you're like, will they, or like, is this going to be a moment where she gets rejected? You're like, oh shit.
But honestly, this is why there are so many reasons that because look, queer people latch on to our ships. Absolutely, we get little representation. I mean, it's growing, but like, it's still like we get attached very quickly, and we love our characters very dearly. There are so many reasons that April specifically, April is such an important character, and it's why, like, losing the chance to see more of her character developing, it's just like, we're still not okay with this.
We're not.
And that is another, like, that scene and exactly what you're just saying, Ellie, like the deadbolt is another example where you're just like, oh my God, look at this girl. Like, look at her. She is just like, wait a second, here is an opportunity. And you can, like, see that split second of like, yeah. And then that deadbolt lock, like, she knows what she's about. And, like, you don't see like these confident, self-assured, like, sure of their sexuality teenage characters like that, who are just like, I know who I am, and I know my faith, and I know my God, and I know I'm gay, and like, all of this is me, and this is fine. And like, it's like the rest of the episode is just me screaming into a void for like 20 minutes.
Join me. That's all I've been doing.
It will be catharsis, listeners. Let's all scream starting now.
Yeah, for episode 7, just the fact that they play equal parts in it, Sterling obviously makes the first move. But then I get to seal the deal, and I use my brain because I've been thinking about this since I was 5, and I lock the door because I know that no one needs to see this. Yeah, an incredible moment. And when we were about to shoot that, just like the height of emotion that I was feeling, I cannot even explain. I was like, we are jumping off the cliff, like a great cliff, but we are jumping off the cliff. There's no coming back from this. And like, holy shit. Yeah, it was very cool. And, you know, for a lot of stuff in this show, but especially like this is obviously very important because I feel like sometimes lesbian or queer storylines are written or feel like they're coming from this weird male gaze, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's like, sometimes we get auditions for like these little indies and it's like, ooh, there's gay girls. And you're like, that just feels kind of like, I know what you're trying to do, but it's like, it's a male director, it's a bunch of dudes in charge of this, and like, she's in her bathing suit and she like, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I just don't. And so
and then they kiss, but like preferably with both of their tongues fully outside of their mouth.
Correct.
The whole time. Yeah.
Only
we
tongue.
We know of what you speak. Yes.
Yes. So knowing that we had this community around us that knew how important this was and took every opportunity to make us feel like this is not some show pony lesbian thing. This is like real and this is important and we have to, and like we're doing it, you know, was cool.
Yes,
So.
it was cool. That is the correct word.
But it was
word.
also, and it was so unique because, like, I mean, so you may notice we've watched some gay shows, and I've watched shows.
Only a few.
I've watched a few, one or two. I could write what I knew was coming, right? Like, I was like, this, I know what happens next. You always know what happens next. It's like the kiss. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. She walks out. They don't speak for days. And then you have this, like, you know, will they, won't they, 3-episode arc of, like, I'm trying to catch her in passing, but I can't. And I've texted her. She didn't respond, right? Like, I'm like, I could tell you how this story plays out.
Yeah, and I think that's why, like,
Every
the anxiety
time.
as a gay person hit when she walks away, because you're like, oh shit, that's all we're gonna get, because that's all we've ever gotten, and the like turn of it, that is, you're right, that is what like solidified it as like, oh, thank you.
That moment for the gays was just like,
glorious.
Like angelic choirs descended from the heavens with a sick bass drop, and you were just like, yeah.
True.
That song kicks in, and you were like,
the song, the fucking song. I didn't know about it. It's obviously like written in the, well, actually, no, I lie. That one was not. I did not know. And so then we're like in this terrible like void between when we wrapped and like we had no idea when it was coming out. We were waiting forever. And then all of a sudden we're inside of a pandemic and we're like, what is happening to our show? And Maddie sent me a little clip of the edited business. And I was like, oh my God, the song. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen on television. It just like is I feel like it's everything that you could want from TV.
Yes,
like it's
it
just
is.
So good.
It is
and
a moment of beauty.
And you don't get any more and you've got to go to the next episode. So good.
It's so good. I guess let's talk a little bit about also what we don't really want to talk about, which is the downward turn of our relationship.
Yeah.
And why we think that sort of came about from April's perspective.
From April's perspective. Okay.
You know, we saw on their little video call when Sterling is in Nandina that
I like how you couldn't remember Blair's name, but Nandina was like right there.
Was
like, I remember
right.
exactly where Sterling was when we were talking on the phone.
Yeah, we see the priorities. We see them.
I know how many, well, it's actually sort of interesting because like on a film set, like how many scenes did you actually have with Angelica?
Oh yeah, so few. I didn't get to know her until after we wrapped, until we were like waiting for the show to come out. I thought she didn't like me when we were on set. I was like, she's cool and she doesn't like me.
Oh,
and yeah, other than the people that we like went to school with, there were some people I didn't even meet. So yeah, Angelica, not a part of my story. Sterling has the video call and April is, hesitant because this is not what she planned. She's been thinking about this. Sterling is like a very excited bisexual. It's new to her.
Yep.
Like, no, I have been living with this. I mean, April has been living with this for years. And like, you don't get to come in here and be all sunshine and rainbows about it. Like, no, I've been suffering and you need to relax.
You have to as well.
But you can see her. She just like cares about Sterling so much that she's like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong. And she's a crazy person, but like maybe she's got a point. And like maybe this is, the push that I needed. And then John Stevens.
Dun, dun, dun.
Woman beater.
Yep.
John Stevens is back in the picture. And, like we hear April talk about how close that they have always been. And even though she hates what he's done and it was really easy for her to write him off while he wasn't around, like having him in front of her again. We don't know what kind of relationship she has with her mom, but we assume it's probably not that great because they don't talk about it. She's super close with her dad. And so, like, if this is the only person she has who she feels like understands her to some degree, then I feel bad for her. How, you know, we don't know what he's like. He beat up the sex worker. Like, we don't know what his temperament is. It can't be great because
it is a huge robbery of all of us that like, I feel like we were headed for so much more of this, of like that story specifically, right? Like, it seems like the next season was gonna have to be more of that relationship, more of John being like a principal, you know, antagonistic force, which also like by default means that April has to be a big part of that story. And I just like, what frustrates me is feeling like with how much we were given in season 1,
how much we could have gotten.
No, it's like, I feel like I could see it going one of two ways. And I think the one of two ways is like seeing how self-confident April is and like was created to be basically as a character, and how self-assured of like her own sexuality she was, that I'm like, either you're going to get like two very important storylines, both of which I think are like totally valid and both of which I would have loved to have seen. One where I feel like you see John turning a new leaf and like having to fight his own way to redemption by accepting his daughter, or something else that is also like less happy but also like totally valid, and I still think like a really important thing for people to see represented is like realizing that sometimes like you have to cut ties with your family, you know. And I think that that's a reality for a lot of queer people, and especially a lot of queer people who grew up in like very religious conservative households, that like sometimes like if you know who you are, man, like there's just no, you know, like there's just no happy ending to that sometimes to be had. And I'm like, I feel like that's where it had to be going one of those two directions, you know. And in either case, like that was something that I wanted to see, like how is this going to play out, and how is like I want April's story, just give it to me.
Yes.
That's what I want.
I guess that sort of leads us into a good question. So obviously we know Netflix has not picked up Teenage Bounty Hunters. What can we talk about in terms of that?
Maybe someone at Netflix will one day wake up in a cold sweat covered in Sour Patch Kids and decide that they're making a terrible mistake. But
so you already told us, though. I mean, we're writing one musical podcast. Say we wrote another one with just like completely original characters named like Schmlair and and Sterling and Schmapril. And we made like a beautiful story. That's about all of them. You already told us you do theater, so like, you know, I'm just saying. A musical story awaits down the road.
I know, most like the legal ramifications of that for us are probably really horrifically, but yes, we can.
It's worth a shot.
I said original characters, Ellie. I don't know what legal ramifications there could possibly be.
Completely
it's
original.
Called Teenage Schmounty Schmunters.
We got nothing but time. Let's do a musical podcast. Angelica was on Broadway. She can figure it out.
Oh my God, we're so sold.
You know, of course, we would all love to be able to continue telling these stories. It could have been really cool, and I would have loved to see season 2 because, yeah, it was like, not that the first season was inconsequential. It certainly was not. But we had to get all of that out of the way so then that we could tell, like, even cooler, more nuanced, better stories.
Like Ezekiel's coming out story, and
come on, and Ellen's coming out story, and Hannah B's coming out story.
I guess the best news is, because you have a queer fandom, the fanfic is going to be out of control. So you will have, I'm sure it already is.
We've read some of it, yes.
So the content that will be created from Teenage Bounty Hunters for years and years to come is going to be insane.
She lives on. Yes.
She does live on.
What if we just start a podcast where we read fan fiction?
Yes.
Where all of the characters read their own...
Don't... Okay.
I know, don't tease us with a good time.
I don't know if you're just like stepping into April right now, but like don't tease, okay? It's not polite to do that.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I've been thinking about this a lot. You know Freaks and Geeks?
Died a legend, and so will we.
Yes. I really, truly believe Teenage Bounty Hunters is the Freaks and Geeks of our time. Like, in that, like, conventions forever will, like people will be flocking to you all. Like, yes, it was just one season, but it, like, is iconic, is, I think, something that's really gonna last. And that's amazing.
I hope so. I mean, that's what we all have to believe. Like, obviously, it's devastating the way that things have turned out, but we're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And we created, I think, a really important product that maybe changed some lives, dare I say, or gave people a lot of hope to take steps towards, you know, speaking their own truth. Like, that Netflix could never take away. They could never. And we have this fandom that is filled with so much love, and they love each other, and we try to love them to the best of our ability, and they have made these friendships, and they have these group chats, and it's like people who would never have found each other, and like the impact of that you cannot take away. And this show, I guess, will just continue to be on Netflix, and more people will see it, and that's really cool. That's really, really cool. And
it will just be Ellie and I racking up the views.
I know, I've already watched it like 5 times. So yes.
And yeah, like one day we hope we do get to do conventions and like talk to people in real life, you know?
Yes.
It's been like, I think and we've talked about this some, it's very easy to sort of not take for granted, but just sort of forget the impact that this has had because we're all so isolated, and being able to talk to people like you and watch reaction videos like that has been amazing, because we're not getting to go out and be among the people, you know? So I hope one day there will still be enough love that we'll get to do that. That would be really cool.
I truly believe that there will be. Like, we watch a lot of shows, and like this one is just special. It really is.
I'm never going to be over this. It's fine. It's
it really
okay.
Is.
I just have a lot of feelings. I needed something in 2020. No, but I swear, like, when we are allowed to have like human contact again, like whenever the next Klexicon is, if they don't invite you guys to Klexicon, like we will revolt. We will get our torches and pitchforks.
We will make our own convention that's literally just a Teenage Bounty Hunters convention, and it will sell out.
It's a convention dedicated to just like you and Maddie reading Stepbro fan fiction on a stage for a few hours.
We would love that. I can't, like, we are fans of these characters in a similar way to everybody else. Like, we will never get over it. We still send each other compilation videos and like yell about stuff. It's just like, even if we just like stand next to each other and let people see us next to each other in real life and take pictures of us, like that is also fine.
Yes, I love it. All right, I think that's a perfect time for us to get into our Q and Gay. Are we ready?
I'm so ready.
Q and Gay.
All right, so we're going to ask you a few multiple choice yes or no questions, and then we're going to put them on our Twitter for all of our listeners.
So they're low pressure.
Okay.
Easy. Our first one, I think, is the easiest one. Are you team Stepbro, Stirluke, or Looprol? I don't know what Luke and April's ship name would be. But yes, those are the 3 teams.
Okay, all right, I think I got this. I am team Stepbro.
Yes, good choice.
The correct answer, yes.
Thank you. Okay, good. All right.
It's the only one that has a default right answer. Yes. Question 2. What were you the leader of in high school? A, debate. B, fellowship. C, sports team. Or D, drama club.
D, drama club. I was the secretary, I think. I was not the president or the vice president. I'm pretty sure I was the secretary. I don't know what that job entailed, but I did it.
But you did it.
You're welcome.
Excellent.
All right. Question number 3. What do you currently have in your purse? A, gum. B, wallet. C, makeup. Or D, a used condom wrapper.
Okay, sorry. What were the options again? Gum?
I know. Gum, wallet, makeup, or use condom wrapper.
Wallet. I'm currently using a periwinkle fanny pack as a bag.
Nice.
And I do have a wallet in there.
Look, I know you didn't wear a red shirt today, but like fanny packs are gay culture too. So you should I'm just saying, like, tread carefully.
What if I say I also have a Home Depot bucket outside? Is that
done? We're done.
Yeah,
we're done.
Okay.
I'll send you my Home Depot TikTok. Yes. Okay. Question 4: what would be your biggest strength as a bounty hunter? A, tracking people down. B, being in disguise. C, shooting guns. Or D, chasing people.
Chasing people. D.
Nice. Are you a fast runner?
I used to be. After quarantine.
In the before times.
In the before times. Yeah, BC. Yeah. I like to run. I run a fair amount. Yeah, I think I'm pretty, I used to be pretty fast. So, yes.
Nice.
Final answer.
Good answer. All right, question number 5. What is your favorite sour candy? Skittles, Warheads, Sour Patch Kids, or sour gummy worms?
Sour gummy worms.
Remember, you can also give us your own answers to this episode's Q&A questions on our Twitter at Let's Hang Out Pod. All right, so where can all of our listeners find you on social media?
On Instagram, I am devonhales.jpg. JPG.
Beautiful.
And on Twitter, I am Hales_Devon.
Devon, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Any final words you want to say to our listeners?
First of all, thank you for having me. This was a delight. You are both delightful. Thank you for putting up with my long stories.
They were great.
I don't get to talk to people, so here we are. I want to say thank you to the fans, man. Seriously, yeah, you guys are really great and have been since day one. And the best way for you to support the cast and the show right now is to just keep loving on each other. We got really lucky that we have a really loving, creative, funny fandom, and being able to log on to our social media, which is, a tumultuous place right now, and see all the love that you have for each other and have for us and for the show, is just a gift. So thank you for being there.
And if you want to send Devon your favorite Stepprel fanfic, you can do that. I'm kidding. No, but seriously, thank you so much. This has been
amazing.
Wonderful. And I think people are going to like it because I think a lot of people have strong feelings, as do we. We appreciate getting to yell them at you for
Yes.
Yes, of course, anytime.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 well, yeah.
We love hearing from all of you. We love continuing to build this community. So we just like to take a little time every episode, shout out some of our favorite things. And this week, we want to shout out Anara, who emailed us again after our Addams Family episode to let us know that Wednesday is definitely someone's goth girlfriend. Yes. Correct. I swear we are going to have more feelings about Wednesday when we do the next Addams Family movie.
Oh, heck yes. I'd also like to shout out Who Knows? That's their handle. They told me that they came out to their sister and immediately they said, I gotta tell Adeline, which feels very reminiscent of my coming out story. So I feel you. I love that you had that experience and they were still very supportive. Of course, they love you, but you also gotta tell everyone you know because you just want to spread the good gay news. So gotta tell Adeline.
We also would like to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Mark Foster,
Jess Klaus,
Tanya Ferguson,
Danny Griswold,
Jacqueline Rose Nishino,
Sarah and Julia,
Carrie Ann Lawrence,
Danny Gunlock Tamora,
Brittany Ray,
Alana Rosen,
and Tara Gleason.
And our King Princess patrons, Amy and Ellen,
Leah Hendley,
Liz Chen,
and Wendy K. Bartlett. Thank you all so much for helping make this podcast happen.
Remember, you can also find us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Let's Hang Out Pod.
You can send us an email at letshangoutpod@gmail.com
or check out our website at letshangoutpod.com.
Make sure that you subscribe so you'll be the first to know when new episodes drop. You can subscribe on any app that you use to listen to podcasts.
We're also posting videos on our YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/letshangoutpod to catch them.
If you want to help support the podcast, there are so many ways that you can do that. The first one is totally free and totally easy. Hop on the Apple Podcasts app, leave us a rating and a review. A, we love reading them, and B, it helps new people find the podcast.
And if you want to help support us financially, you can join us at bit.ly/lespatreon. We love all of our patrons. We love hanging out with you all in our Discord chat. So we would love for you to be another one of our Patreon family members.
You can also check out our merch. We have all sorts of designs that you can get on a number of things like tees and hoodies and mugs and masks and all sorts of good stuff. And you can find that at bit.ly/lesshop.
If you want to find us individually, you can find me at Ellie Brigida on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at LSH Foster.
With that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee.
And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's incredible only one story. We talk to real people dealing with issues like infertility, the death of a loved one, human trafficking, and women who, fake it. Oh, and we want to be fair, so we talk to celebrities too. Emmy winners like actor John Cryer, supermodels like Amber Valletta, and rock stars like Ryan Dusick. Everyone is invited to share their only one story with our listeners. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee you that Only One in the Room has a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone. Download Only One in the Room on Apple or Spotify today.